Hey everybody, welcome into the PHNX Trailer Park. We are the Park Rangers. I'm Espo, he's Gerald, and we are here today to talk to you about the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer.
Yes, so excited. I haven't been this excited for a Marvel movie in a long time.
I'm excited and I'm also concerned.
You're concerned?
I'm concerned.
Oh, man.
All right. And I'm probably the one person on the internet, so I'm about to get a lot of hate. So send that to @Saul_Bookman
Yes.
if you want hate. Now you can send it to @Espo, but I'm worried there's too much going on in this film.
Okay.
Because we're talking 2 hours and 15 minutes, maybe 2:30 max, right? I haven't seen the official runtime, but there's a lot going on here that you have to accomplish to get from point A to point B at the end, and I'm worried there is just too much.
That's a fair concern because I feel like, that was one of the biggest complaints against Spider-Man 3, I feel like, was that there's too much crammed into the movie. And I honestly like Spider-Man 3. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but like there were too many villains, there were too many storylines, too many things coming together. And it looks like this is kind of like packing a bunch of different villains in from across the multiverse that we're about to dive into.
Yeah, what did we see? The Sandman?
Sandman, Electro.
We saw, obviously, Doc Ock and Green Goblin. And I think there was one other that Rhino, I think, is seen briefly, I believe.
Oh, I missed Rhino.
I believe so.
Okay.
In there. So we're looking at a lot of villains. Then you see, you see J. Jonas Jameson, from the original, is in there. So all of a sudden, we got a lot of things going on, and then you've got Doctor Strange as well in this, trying to hold the whole universe together. I'm just concerned, but there are a lot of tidbits in this trailer that to get exciting. One that stood out to me is Statue of Liberty. They're fighting on it, right?
Right.
And there's a Captain America shield on the Statue of Liberty. That struck me as interesting. It also struck me as interesting because this harkens back to Feige's first foray into the MCU with the X-Men movies. The final scene takes place a fight on the Statue of Liberty as well.
It does indeed, and we've been wondering when we might get our first taste of the mutants in the MCU. I don't think this will be it, just because there's so much they're already trying to pack into it. But
is that who Doctor Strange is saying I can't keep them at the end?
That'd be a hell of a mic drop for sure.
Yeah, I expect it because this is all leading up to the multiverse of madness with Doctor Strange. So something significantly crazier than what we've seen in this trailer has to happen as well.
Right, and we already know that the worst kept secret about this movie is we're probably going to see both of the previous two Spider-Mans. We're already seeing the villains. Like, you can tell from some of the images, the way they're set up, like that superhero clash where Spidey's going up against like all three of them at once. You can tell those images have probably been edited a little bit.
Yeah, and there's the scene where Spider-Man's caught between two portals, which look like he's got two webs stuck to him before Doctor Strange pulls him out. One thing that stood out to me, though, in this trailer is the main dilemma seems that Spider-Man doesn't want these villains from another dimension to die because of Spider-Man.
Right.
Which is a very weird, complex storyline. That's the main thing that's concerning him here is that he doesn't want that fate to happen to them.
Right. It's interesting, and I kind of like it because I feel like this Peter Parker is more of the high school Peter Parker than we saw in the last two films. Like, obviously, those guys were both set in high school, but they felt more like adults. They had... those
because they were played by adults.
Yeah, and they were like darker, more mature movies. I feel like this Spider-Man has really emphasized the kid, the fact that he's still just a kid. And so this is kind of like a coming of age, like brutal introduction. He's already been in Avengers and done all that stuff, but having to kill these different villains from different universes and that being their fate, like that's kind of interesting to me.
I wonder how much, because we see the Times Square shot with the really cheesy Peter Parker, Spider-Man split down the middle and Public Enemy #1 thrown up on it. And I wonder how much that storyline plays in, because where we left Peter Parker is obviously they believe he is a villain at the end of the last movie, and how much is that playing into his dilemma here, because now he knows what it's like to feel ostracized by people, to be assumed that you're evil, even though maybe you aren't. Now we know the backstory of these villains, and in a lot of cases they become villains not by their own choice.
Right.
So I wonder how much that plays into it as well.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by that, because obviously that's going to be kind of the spur of him asking Doctor Strange to help him out with this spell that kind of lets loose this shitstorm that we're about to see. But I'm also intrigued because this is going to be, I feel like this movie more than the other two is going to be more of a journey for him, because like obviously there's the whole thing about not wanting to kill the villains, but also I'm a little concerned for MJ maybe, because we've seen, you know, in the comics, like Gwen Stacy, we've seen her fall to her death. That's what happens in the comics. In the first Spider-Man, it was Mary Jane and he saves her. In the other Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, Gwen Stacy falls and dies. So we've seen Spider-Man's love interest fall so many times, and I'm pretty sure Tom Holland said that this movie is like brutal. It's very emotional and hard for these likable characters. So I'm a little curious and I'm a little worried about MJ's fate in this one.
And I also wonder how much does this tie in some of the things we've seen in the Disney Plus series. Is there some kind of tie that finally pulls a lot of this together that culminates in the Multiverse of Madness?
Yeah, it's opening the doors. We've been opening them very slowly. Loki helped with that, and now I feel like they're about to bust open pretty soon.
Any final thoughts on the trailer?
No, I think we should say it's nice to hear Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin again, because he was fantastic as the last Goblin.
I think that's going to be the most interesting part of this, and how he may manipulate this Peter Parker.
Yes.
So that is the PHNX Trailer Park. We are the Park Rangers. Espo, Gerald. We'll be back with another one sometime soon.